Couple comments I want to make about Sarah Palin. She didn't totally lose. For 2 months, 2 months, you're going to have that Mary Peralta or whatever, Mary Patola. Mary Patola is going to have the power for 2 months, which I think that's a problem because if they just had one special election, you're supposed to have the top four in the primary and then the general election. So you actually have to have two elections in order to figure out who's supposed to have the power. But I don't think she's going to vote on anything significant. The next election is in 2 months. So Sarah Palin's going to get another swing at this thing. She gets another swing at the pitch. Okay, Sarah Palin, you won. You won. There's 20 candidates that I saw on the ballot, and there was 4 candidates who won. Tara Sweeney, Sarah Palin, Mary Patola, and then that Nick Begich III. So Nick Begich and Sarah Palin and Tara Sweeney and Mary Patola get to go on to the next round. And that's what's going to happen in November. And then the people of Alaska will have to choose between 4 candidates instead of choosing between 20, which is the point. That's why you choose the top 4. You get 4 candidates, and then you're going to pick the best one out. You might rank those too, but the whole thing, the biggest thing is that ranked elections make sure, you got to look at the algorithm and see how they actually implement it because they might not know what the hell they're talking about. But the biggest thing is that it's not fair. You guys have been cheaters the entire time. If you don't have ranked choice voting, then there's no possible way for the independents, for the third party to break the two-party stranglehold on our democracy. Well, we're supposed to care about democracy all of a sudden because of January 6th. We should care about democracy when Ralph Nader wasn't allowed on the ballot or when Jesse the Body Ventura wasn't allowed on the ballot. In Alaska, they had 401 polling stations. They had 192,000 total votes. They had the third highest primary total in Alaskan history. The third highest primary total. Who the hell goes to the primary excited? And it's the third highest ever in their entire history. Meaning that this was a resounding success. Ranked choice voting, well, it worked. There was 20 candidates. People were excited. People went out to go vote. And now we're talking about the day after. And frankly, if you don't understand ranked choice voting, you shouldn't be a congresswoman or a congressman. You don't know ranked choice voting. It's a very simple algorithm. You got top 4. You don't have 51%. Nobody gets a majority. You take the bottom. It's like Survivor, right? And then redistribute their votes or second, third place. If anything, it'd be easier if you just imagine 4 votes. If we had a vote in January, February, March, and then April. But that's what 1, 2, 3, 4 is. So you say the first vote is Sarah Palin. And if she's in the top 4, then your vote isn't redistributed. You can rank 2, 3, and 4 with the total reassurance that Sarah Palin will definitely get your vote unless she's kicked out. If she's kicked out, then it'll go to your 2, 3, and 4. So, you are guaranteed to... If Sarah Palin just told her people, vote for me number 1, and then, vote whoever you want for 2, 3, and 4, she would have, hands down, would have probably won. She probably would have won this election. She would have got more of the Nick Begich's vote. But if anything, Sarah Palin should really ask herself, how come Nick Begich voters, the Republicans who went out to go vote for Nick Begich, didn't vote for her for the second or third choice? They're sitting there attacking each other like it's, old school politics. But the whole point is this is 3-dimensional. We're not just doing a surface analysis to say who's got the biggest name recognition, who's got the biggest pocketbooks. But you want to see who's got the biggest, farthest, deepest, widest appeal. You want to see 3-dimensional, far, width, height, depth. You want to see who, not just the people barely like here and there, but they got crossover appeal. Some Republicans, some independents, and a lot of Democrats like this person. That's why this person won. So I wanted to make sure I covered. Tom Cotton said it was a scam. She's saying it's a convoluted thing. That means she doesn't know how to count to 4. Sarah Palin doesn't know how to count to 4, and she can't tell her supporters to count to 4. Vote for me number 1 and then vote for 2, 3, and 4. There was 20 candidates from before. Now it doesn't make much sense since there's only 4 candidates to really, rank the other candidates as 2, 3, and 4. But she could have ranked 10 candidates. I like these in this. I like myself the best. But if you're voting for me, I think that number two and number three and number four, that would have been smart. That would have been strategic. And then that would have shown that Sarah Palin isn't just a selfish. It's not just you, Sarah Palin. There's other people in the world. And if she would have just said something good about any of those candidates, even Nick Begich, she talked good about the Democrat, Mary Patola. So how come she couldn't? You're not supposed to speak ill of any Republican, but apparently Nick Begich and Sarah Palin was just throwing a bunch of manure at each other the whole time. Hey, don't get that started. You start, hey. You start scratching like that, and then you just keep scratching, and then you don't stop. Quit. Okay. The Big Dipper State, Seward's Folly, Seward's Icebox. Okay. Alaska. I like Alaska more now that I know. Mary Patola, she has 100 long guns in her house. 192,000 total voters, third highest. So I think that the ranked choice election happened perfectly. It happened the way it was supposed to. November, they might not be interpreting it correctly because you need another election before somebody wins. So you can't sit, I don't think you could sit Mary Patola in the chair yet. You need the general election. You need the primary, then the general election. You need two stamps. You need two elections. So the special election, there has to be two special elections. Now this is just recently, November 2020. That's when they just passed it. So the voters just passed this 2 years ago, or 1.5 years ago. So ranked choice voting is so new in Alaska. It's exciting though. Maine, Alaska, Nevada. Very few states in America has perfect democracy, but Alaska, you got a perfect democracy right now. I'm in Colorado, and they got, they say it's the gold standard. We don't have ranked choice elections. We got written ballots. We got open primaries. We have same-day registration. A lot of good things that Colorado has going, for her, but Alaska has a constitutional convention initiative question, and they got a top four primary, ranked choice voting system. I like this ranked choice voting system. It's perfect. I think it's brilliant. So you get a whole pile of people, you get the top four, and then those four go to the general election. Then you just vote for the four. So essentially you got rid of, 20, 30, 100 candidates, but it makes it more fair because, obvious reasons. So she said it was crazy and convoluted and confusing. Really? It's convoluted, crazy, and confusing, huh? There's 20% indigenous people. I didn't realize there were so many Alaskan natives. Some people said 16%. 16% of the people of Alaska. I know that every time you put the race, it's either, Caucasian or African or Hispanic or Alaska native. There's always that option there. So this is exciting for the Libertarian, Chris Bai. He could be the dark horse candidate. He only got 0.62%. But if Tara Sweeney was talking about dropping out, if Tara Sweeney does drop out, then that means Chris Bai is the fourth candidate. You only got 4 candidates now. You had 20. You made it to the second round. Why would Tara Sweeney drop out? That makes no sense. It makes no sense. Unless Sarah Palin, and for Sarah Palin, all she needs to do is either A, get the other Republicans to drop out, to endorse her, to be nice to each other. You could just have, why even have Lincoln Douglas debates? Just have little debates about this issue and that issue, and you don't have to be totally rude and crappy to the rest of them. But be smart about it. When JFK ran for president, it just seems like, basically, it seemed like he was the show, but he played it fair and square all the way up to the very end. So let's see. I got the numbers. 192,000 total votes, 401 polling stations. The two-party system has been cheaters for 200 years. Alaska, you just got a fair system a year and a half ago. Give it, take a breath. I don't think you did good. You did good. If you ranked 1, 2, 3, 4, pat yourself on the back because that's exactly what you were supposed to do. If you want to try to figure out the calculus of the thing, that might confuse you. But that's the point, is that we don't want to do the spoiler calculus where that person don't have a chance. That person does it. Everybody has a chance. With this system, everybody has a chance. Even this Chris Bai, who got 0.62%, or the Tara Sweeney. Tara Sweeney could be the dark horse candidate. She got 4%. And Palin gets another swing at the pitch. She gets another swing at the pitch, so it's not the only pitch that she gets. It's the third highest total. It's one of the most popular primaries in Alaska's history, the Big Dipper State, Seward's Icebox. So just make sure I covered all my information there. So I think it was exciting and wonderful and awesome, and I can't wait for November's election, and especially if they figure out the last four. So I guess we know that it's going to be Mary Patola, and we know it's going to be Sarah Palin, and we know it's going to be Nick Begich the third, but we don't know the fourth totally. Is it going to be Chris Bai, or is it going to be Tara Sweeney? So that's exciting for Chris Bai's campaign and Tara Sweeney's campaign. That's very exciting. I mean, this is what you want. You want to be the underdog. And then fight and scrape until you get all the way to the top. Chris Bai had 1% of the vote. But people didn't know who he was, had no name recognition, no money. Once people figured out who he was, they liked what he had to offer. Then he became governor. So the traditional rules are out, but the Democrats and the Republicans will sink if they're going to sink, and they will succeed if they're going to succeed. It's up. Just, you want to win this election, get more votes than the other candidates. And then try to win second, try to get more first place preference votes, but also try to get second, third, and fourth place votes too. So you could just disagree with their policies. Unless you hate the person to their core of their personhood, just hate their policies. You know, Sarah Palin, she was in favor of the legalization of marijuana. She's, Republican, so traditionally, I'm just saying you could say something good about people if you try. If you try, okay?